Another episode of breaking down my favorite recipes while showing the most common mistakes and how to fix them. This time, it's pumpkin cheesecake. Start by mixing cream cheese, brown sugar, and spices until smooth. Add the pumpkin puree, and while mixing on low speed, add the eggs one at a time. Finish with the heavy cream and mix until homogeneous. For the crust, grind up Biscoff cookies and add melted butter. Press the crust into the sides and bottom of a 9-inch cake pan, place into a roasting pan, and fill with the cheesecake mixture. Pour hot water into the roasting pan and bake. The cheesecake will continue to bake when it comes out of the oven, so you want to keep this in mind when checking for doneness. When the filling still ripples like water, the cheesecake is underbaked. There should be a slight wobble right in the center for a perfect creamy texture, and if the filling is completely set in the oven, the cheesecake is overbaked. Remove the cheesecake by sprinkling the top with a little sugar so it won't stick, inverting it onto a cake board and heating the sides either with a torch or over a burner. When ready, it'll slide right out. Give one last flip and brush off any excess sugar. Finish with the cream cheese icing and enjoy silky smooth cheesecake with all the flavors.
My favorite cookie recipe of all time, these are my pumpkin cheesecake cookies. The dough is made with brown sugar, pumpkin, and lots of warm spices, so I swear these taste just like fall. But the best part has to be the cheesecake filling. After scooping out some dollops, we freeze it and then stuff it inside of our cookie dough. Once the filling is nestled inside each cookie, we toss it in some cinnamon sugar and then bake it the perfect amount to make the edges just slightly crispy and the inside nice and soft. While they taste great fresh out of the oven, I actually like to chill these and eat them straight out.
Orange cookies are an irresistible treat. They're pure orange flavor in the form of a cakey little cookie that'll float right into your mouth. They're one of my top 10 all-time favorites. The secret to getting these bursting with flavor is working all that orange zest into the sugar so the oils go throughout the cookie. Topped with a simple orange icing, they're the perfect orange treat.
Bread, and it's so moist, flavorful, and I make it every year during the holidays. Let's make it. Okay, so I like to use an electric mixer, but you don't have to. Start by combining the wet ingredients, which include eggs, buttermilk, granulated sugar, honey, canned pure pumpkin, not pumpkin pie filling, unsalted melted butter. Mix that, then add the flour, yellow cornmeal, pumpkin pie spice, baking soda, baking powder, and salt. Don't overmix and make sure to scrape the bottom and sides of the bowl. I like to place the cast iron skillet in the oven for 5 minutes to get it nice and warm. You can do it on the stovetop, and I then add some butter. You can even do lard. I do 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Pour the batter into the skillet. I use a 10-inch cast iron skillet. Make sure to spread it with a spatula. Bake at 375 degrees for 28 minutes. I like to let it cool for about 15 minutes before slicing into it and smother it with
You guys, stop what you are doing. This pumpkin dump cake is crumbly and crispy on the top, but the bottom is so silky and perfect. To this bowl, I added in my pumpkin, evaporated milk, sugar, eggs, and cinnamon. Now give this a really good whisk. Pour this mixture into a large baking dish. Now you're going to want to sprinkle a box of spice cake mix all over the top, and don't mix it. The last thing you will do is place slices of butter over the top of the cake and bake this up. This cake is seriously so crumbly and crispy on the top, like I said, but the bottom layer is silky and smooth. It is absolutely
Starbucks
so
pumpkin spice latte, and this is the one that I made at home. I started by making my espresso. Little hack though, if you want your pumpkin spice lattes to taste 10 times better, ask them to give you a pumpkin cream cold foam instead of whipped cream. After I do my unnecessarily long process for prepping my espresso shot, I'm gonna add some pumpkin sauce and then pour my espresso over top, mix it all together, and then in a separate glass, I'm gonna add my espresso, milk, ice, and then we're gonna make our cold foam. Don't worry though, this stuff's easy. Take 1 tablespoon of pumpkin sauce, 2 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream, a tablespoon of milk, and whisk it all together. And when it's all said and done,
if you're not very good at baking, this apple crisp recipe is fail-proof. Chop up a bunch of apples, add some sugar, cinnamon, and lemon juice, then mix together flour, oats, pecans, sugar, cinnamon, and a little bit of butter until it's nice and blended. You're gonna add as much of that as you want on top of the apples and then bake at 375 for 35 minutes. This tastes so good with some vanilla ice cream, and it's perfect.
A cinnamon apple cake. Add granulated sugar and cinnamon to a bowl and mix these together. Then add your diced apple and coat it in the mix. In another bowl, add light brown sugar, cinnamon, and melted butter and stir these together to create a paste. Next, add plain flour, granulated sugar, baking powder, milk, vanilla, and 2 beaten eggs to a large bowl and mix until combined. Pour in your melted butter and stir until smooth. Then add your diced apples and fold these into the mix. Pour it into your baking tray, then dollop on your cinnamon paste and swirl it through with a knife. Bake in the oven for around 40 to 45 minutes. For the glaze, mix together icing, sugar, and milk until smooth. Whilst the cake is still warm, pour the glaze over the top and let it set for around
Peach cobbler. You're going to need 2 cans of peaches, 1 drained, 1 not drained. Dump it in your 13x9 pan. Sprinkle your peaches with a lot of cinnamon. Be super generous with your cinnamon because this is really going to impact the dish. Once you have your cinnamon on there, you're going to want to grab some butter pecan super moist cake mix, and you're just going to sprinkle that right on top of those peaches. No mixing necessary. Once it's dumped on top, you're going to use a spoon and just spread it from edge to edge. You really want to even out that cake mix so that all those peaches are covered. I grabbed a stick and a half of butter, sliced, and then you're going to want to put it right on top so that cake mix is completely covered in butter, just like this. Once the butter's on there, you're going to want to cook it at 375 for 45 minutes.
A super easy Nutella souffle with just 2 ingredients. Start by separating the eggs. I use the bottle trick here, but you can use your hands or the eggshells. Whisk the whites to stiff peaks. This may take a while, so make sure you use an electric whisk. Then add the Nutella to the yolks and mix until combined. Fold in the egg whites a third at a time, stirring them in gently. Then pour the mix evenly into 2 ramekins. Bake in the oven. It should still be a little bit wobbly in the middle. Dust with ice.
Let's make the most amazing fall dessert using fresh apples. Combine all-purpose flour, steel-cut oats, brown sugar, chopped pecans, salt in a dish, and then use your fingers to work in some cold butter until it's nice and crumbly. Peel and slice some fresh apples, and then in a bowl add melted butter, all-purpose flour, as well as some brown sugar, cinnamon, water, lemon juice, vanilla extract, and just a little bit of salt. Mix that together and then toss in those fresh cut apples until they're nice and coated, and then pop that into a buttered baking dish, and then top with your nice oat crumble and bake until it's nice and bubbly throughout. And then go ahead and serve that with a nice scoop of vanilla ice cream on top, and don't forget the extra caramel sauce. You guys, this dish...
That caramel drizzle on top of these mini caramel apple cheesecakes gets me every time. These are made with a graham cracker crust, a layer of caramel on top of it, a creamy brown sugar filling, all topped with spiced apples and caramel sauce. Get in my belly.
People's opinion of you is none of your business, nor should you make it yours. You get in a lot of trouble worrying about what somebody think about you, when really, what difference do it make? The majority of people who have a negative viewpoint of you really don't even know you.